Hello everyone, thanks for joining me for another video on Heather Travels. This one is kind of a follow-up video to my last video where I talked to you about air travel, because in that video I used the example of flights that my son Andrew took on his two recent European study abroad programs. And I realized that I've never actually shared some of the details about those trips with you. I did not take these trips, but I asked Andrew for his permission, and he said it was okay for me to share some of the details of these with you and to share with you some of the really great pictures he took of some of the places that he went. Now, some of this I've already told you about, but if you've watched some of my previous videos, but I want to give you a little bit more detail. And part of what I want to encourage you with this video is, if you are a young person who is thinking about doing a study abroad, or you are a parent of a young person who is considering studying abroad, I really want to encourage you to go for it, or let them do that. If you have watched my video about my favorite trips, or my Dublin video or my London video, and I will put links up above in the cards that you can look at. Maybe I'll just link my whole favorite trips playlist up there, my favorite cities. I did two study abroads, one the summer between my junior and senior year of high school, and another one for a semester when I was in college. And I talked in those videos about the benefits that I got from those experiences, and how, two of my favorite trips on my favorite trips list were those. So you've also already kind of heard me, state the value of studying abroad and doing something like that as a young person. My son's experience has further proven that point to me. He had two very positive study abroad experiences, and actually technically I guess he's done three. He also did a short-term trip for about 14-15 days the summer between his junior and senior year, same as when I went to Ireland, of high school. I'll tell you really quick about that one first. Our French teacher at our high school takes a trip, has been for quite some time. Every other year, she takes a group of students from our high school to France. And I think one year she went to Quebec, but she decided not to do that anymore for whatever reason. And what she's kind of tried to do is she's alternated every other time going to northern France and southern France, but then they always go to Paris, okay? When Andrew was a freshman in high school, they had the informational meeting about the next trip that was coming up, which would have been the summer after his freshman year. It might have even been in 8th grade when they had the meeting. And he knew he had started taking French. You can start taking French in 7th grade in our school district. You actually can do an exploratory 6 weeks of French and 6 weeks of Spanish to see which one you like. And then we have programs continuing on. We used to have a really great Russian teacher, but he retired and moved to Florida. But now he teaches college, so go figure. But anyway, we don't have any other languages in our school district. I think for a while you could take like Japanese and something else, but it was like distance learning. We don't actually have a teacher in the district that teaches it. But anyway, and then starting in 8th grade, you can start with French or Spanish 1, and you can do 2, 3, 4, and 5 if you take it every year, which is what my kids have done. You can also start with French 1 any of those years beyond that. But many colleges recommend taking at least 2 years of the same foreign language before you go to a 4-year college. So that's kind of changed a bit, but a lot of places still do recommend it. I recommend it. I feel like in the United States, we are kind of behind a lot of other countries where students get a lot more exposure to taking other languages earlier than our kids here do. I mean, certainly everybody almost everywhere speaks English. So they're, that's not their first language. But okay, well, anyway, so we went to the informational meeting for this French trip, I think when Andrew was in 8th grade. And the next opportunity was to go to southern France when he would have had just finished ninth grade. At the time, he was really intrigued by that, as this recent trip he took to Italy showed, because he really liked the Roman stuff that was down in that area and kind of wanted to see that. But both his French teacher and I felt that it would be more beneficial for him to wait until 2 years later to the next trip she was taking, because his language skills would be that much better. And I'm glad we did that, and I'm kind of suggesting the same thing for Megan too. If she ends up wanting to take a France trip, I would like her to wait until 2022, which will be after she graduates, when she's a senior, because her language skills will be better. So, but we'll see how that goes. Also, because I think that would time out to go to northern France again, and I feel like she would like that better than southern France. I mean, Andrew liked it very much. They got to go to Normandy and everything, a lot of World War II history up there, which I think she would like. Anyway, so he went on the one in 2014, which was to northern France. They went to Paris. There was only 10 students, I think, 3 boys and 7 girls. And then their teacher and her husband was there for part of it too. And they toured around, went to Paris and some other places in northern France, by bus. And then in the middle of it, they were each individually placed through a program called Language and Friendship with a French family. And they spent 5 or 6 days with their French families. Now, Andrew did say that part of the trip was the hardest for him, and that's when he got homesick, because he was away from his friends that he knew from school, and the language barrier there was somewhat difficult. So he didn't like that part as much, but some of the kids say that's their favorite part. So I don't know. Megan thinks she'd like it, but I'm not really sure. Okay, so he did that. So I guess that technically kind of counts like a study abroad. I mean, it wasn't for credit or anything. It was just for fun and, enrichment. And I mean, he fundraised and I paid for it. And so, it wasn't for a class, but I mean, I guess technically my study abroad to Ireland between my junior and senior year of high school was the same thing. I didn't get any class credit for that, even though it was a month long. Okay, this last J term of 2018, he did a class on American diplomacy. He's a political science major with a double minor in legal studies and history. And this actually covered one of his political science course requirements. And the focus was on diplomacy, obviously. They spent a lot of time visiting things like consulates and embassies and other sites significant to diplomacy. They went to NATO headquarters, UN High Commission, and things like that. So I'll show you some maps here. They started in Morocco, which, if you are not aware, North Africa is also French speaking. His French skills were quite good by this time and improved, obviously, from spending this much time. He joked when he went to Italy this last time that people would say stuff to him in Italian and he would try to answer them in French because he doesn't know any Italian. But anyway, they spent some time in Morocco. They were in Casablanca, and then they went by bus to Rabat and Tangier, which you should be able to all see on the map here. And then they flew from Tangier to Brussels, Belgium. They spent some time in Brussels, and then they took the train to Paris, and the program ended in Paris. And then Andrew, on his own, had some time left afterwards, and he flew to Dublin, which I was supposed to go meet him, but we weren't going to talk about that. Anyway, he flew and went to Dublin for several days on his own and stayed in a hotel. This whole time on both of these trips, these J-term study abroads that he did, they are staying in very nice hotels. He had no complaints about the accommodations that they provided at all. So if you've ever looking at one of these programs where it's a traveling study abroad, which they're usually the shorter ones like this, that's what it involves. They stay in hotels. The university books the hotels and everything. They have a professor or a guide or both with them at all times. They have some time in the evenings and free day here and there where they have time to do their actual classwork because, he had to write a paper. He was just finishing the paper up last night that he had to do for his Italy one. They have to read some texts and, there's academic portions that go with the whole thing. But it's a really good way to see a lot of stuff within a pretty safe, structured environment with a group of people. I can't recommend it highly enough. The reason that Andrew had to do the J-term study abroad is because he's an RA. He's been an RA, a residence life advisor in the dorms, for freshmen for 3 years, sophomore, junior, and senior year of college. This was a financially motivated decision. He's going to a very expensive private college, and it costs a lot of money. And by being an RA, he got free room and board for 3 years. So, and there's benefits to him personally too. And he's very responsible, and I think he made an excellent RA. So, he's planning on being a lawyer. So, that's why he had to do them only in the January term, because he couldn't take a full semester and still be an RA. So if you have a student, or you are a student who feels like, oh, I can't take a whole semester, that'd be too hard, it won't fit in with my classes or whatever, maybe you're pre-med and you got to take a lot of lab classes or whatever, a J-term study abroad might be the perfect fit for you, or summer would be another good option. Two other benefits to the J-term study abroad over a full semester or full year are, one, it's less expensive, and secondly, because it's shorter, it's less time, and secondly, if you're a little concerned with the culture shock or being homesick, it's a more reasonable amount of time. Andrew even admitted he thought if he did a full semester abroad, he might get a little too homesick. And I can tell you, one of the things that he does have trouble with when he goes to other countries is he really misses the food and the beverages. One of the things he always misses is milk. The rest of the world does not drink milk like we do. They drink milk, but they do not pasteurize their milk. Milk in most other countries is not kept cold in the refrigerator like we do. Their milk lasts much longer than ours, and it's room temperature. So that is not something he wants to drink. But he likes milk and he drinks milk a lot. He came home and guzzled like 2 full glasses of milk when he got home. He also misses Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper is not readily available in Europe. And he misses things like cheeseburgers and stuff, that you just can't get. So he does find them, and he really enjoys experiencing the food in other countries. He really likes French food. He mentioned that he liked the food in France better than the food in Italy. But you don't realize some of the simple, common things that you're used to at home that you can't get everywhere, And I'm sure that over a lengthy period of time you would adapt, like if you move to another country. But when you're there for, a month or a few months, you do miss some things. I remember when both times I lived in Europe, I missed junior mints terribly. So my dad actually mailed them to me. They would get all melted and globbed together in the shipping, and I would actually chip them apart and still eat them because I wanted them so bad. Okay, so that was his first study abroad. The one that he just did was, they started in Sicily, and Sicily, to my surprise, has an enormous amount of Greek ruins. And I'm going to put some pictures in after each of these segments so you can see. Lots of old Greek temple ruins and things like that. So they started in Palermo. They went to, oh shoot, I should have looked at the map. Starts with an S. It's on the East Coast. Look at the map. And then they went up to Taormina, which he said was really, really pretty. And you'll see here at the end some beautiful pictures he took. And then they went on a train, and the train actually gets on the ferry, and I'll put a picture in. The train actually gets on the ferry and takes them across the strait to mainland Italy. And then they went up to Naples. They went to a museum in Naples. They spent one night in Pompeii. And then they went to Rome, and they spent the rest of the time in Rome. They were in Rome for basically like 2 weeks and saw lots and lots of stuff in Rome. And they went to the Vatican, which he said was really cool. So that's what he did on his 2 J-term study abroads. And that's kind of what those are about. So if you are a student, you know, even if you're still in middle school or high school and you're watching this video, thank you, and you're thinking about doing this in the future, that's kind of what it's like. And kind of the things that you can see. The university that my son goes to, it's actually a Catholic university. We're not Catholic, but it's a Catholic university, and they actually have a campus in Rome. And Andrew told me, I think there were 6 or 8 or 9 groups from his school in Rome while he was there, because it's such a lot of the students that go to his school go to Rome. So very positive experience. I mean, he really enjoyed both experiences very much. He's kind of resigned himself now because he's going to be going to law school and be very busy, that he probably is done traveling for a while. He's ahead of me for countries now. He's been to 2 or 3 more countries than I have. Dang it. But he probably won't get to do any more traveling for quite some time because law school will be all encompassing. But anyway, I just thought it would be nice to share some of these pictures that he took with you, which, by the way, he took on his Samsung Galaxy. And I'm filming this on my Samsung Galaxy 8. We really like our Samsung Galaxies. They give very nice quality of both video and photography. So it's an easy way to do it. I mean, I can use the GoPro too, but I like how this looks. So, check it out. Thanks you guys for watching today, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And really hoping that we're going to go someplace for spring break, and then I will have some more videos for you. Still haven't quite decided what that's going to be. But I have a few options that I'm considering, and we'll see what happens. But thank you guys for joining me. Safe travels. We can make a wildfire getaway.